Well, let's keep continuing to take the ugly out of the wiring. So pre-planning is everything, like I was talking about before. Everything has to eventually interconnect together. So you have quite a few different systems we're dealing with. We have our LS harness, that BP harness that has to get married into the vintage air harness, and then also married into the painless wiring harness also. With where it gets a little tricky is getting in a trinary switch for the air conditioning to kick on the fans when the as soon as the air conditioning kicks on. We got 2 fan relays, so actually we're going to add 3, so a high and a low, and for the fan relays, and then also both fans will kick on when the trinary switch is engaged for the AC clutch, and all of that vintage air plus the BP harness plus the stereo system, and things get a little bit complicated. But this is where it's a time-consuming thing. It's not a race. Don't think you're going to do this in a weekend, because it's going to turn out to be a disaster. You're going to have to take your time a little bit with it and really plan things out in order to really make it look neat, to get harnesses bundled up together. And this is why I kind of do everything loose right now. Nothing is zip tied or anything together. I'm just kind of separating it in bundles right now. So as of right now, all the stuff that's coming through the firewall here, I separated into a lighting harness right here. This is for our vintage air, power and grounds and everything for that. Their main power for our battery. This is another wire that runs the trinary switch right here for the AC. That's going to get tied underneath there, and that's tying part of the Dakota Digital, the vintage air with the AC setup right here. So then I've separated off a couple other runs of wires. These are coil wires and ignition wires that really don't need. I'm going to probably trip one of the relays with this, so I got to plan that out yet, and then these are going to disappear. There's quite a few of these that are going to disappear as well, so we aren't going to use those. But then we have our wiper switch and washer. So we got those wires pushed over to there. Push the wire, the tan wire over there is going to go for our brake light switch. So right there, and then our purple wire right here. Instead of running underneath the firewall or the dash and running it out that side and coming out for that is for our starter solenoid right there. And I'm going to follow the harness along right here, go underneath the motor and come up to the starter. This should make a little bit neater wiring pass here, so hopefully we can hide just about everything in here and make everything disappear. But also, we needed to add fan trigger wires for it. We needed to add the amplifier wire that he's going to eventually add also. So now we'll get stuff kind of tidied up and everything here. And as soon as we get things figured out where everything is going to be, get everything mounted, that's when we start doing the terminating and really making it look nice here. So right now it looks like it's a catastrophe. Got wires hanging all over the place, but these are in separate. So I'm starting to separate everything and just ballpark get it into place right here. And you probably want a little bit more light, huh? Oh, how about that? So that's one of the things. Like these are the sending unit wires for the Dakota Digital as well, and that's another system that we're actually tying into this also. That kind of things crisscross between it for like our gauge cluster wires and everything. A lot of those are going to tie into the Dakota Digital instead of going to the gauge cluster. because that Dakota Digital box will feed its signal up to that via the junction box in there. So there's a lot of different options too. So you can do gear selector switch via Dakota Digital, and you can also, which we might end up doing here, and I'm not quite sure yet, I gotta get to that, but our reverse switch. So we could do a Dakota Digital reverse switch like that also, and that would trigger our reverse lights. It already has a neutral safety. So these wires right here are purple, pink, light green. Those wires right there are going to be for our reverse light plus our neutral safety switch. So that's got to get down to the shifter. So those are going to get cut from the harness, clipped in, fed back underneath the carpet, and then come up. So those will get completely transferred to a different bundle of wires. So this is why it's really time consuming, and it's scary because there's so many different wires and everything. But once you start getting all the wires kind of bundled where they need to go, and then you can figure out what the best routing is and what ones you want to bundle together and make look nice and neat, and then make it a nice removable harness. So if you ever want to pull it apart to paint it or whatever, you can literally take the whole harness right out of here. So let's just keep taking these wires out, tackling it one circuit at a time. So we're going to start doing the lighting harness. So we'll do our wipers and our lights now. So we'll get those switches hanging out, and we'll start terminating that stuff. Then we'll start going to the ignition, the column termination and everything there. And then we're going to start working the convertible top harness back down into here. So you figure out where that switch is going to get mounted and everything then too. And then we'll just start clipping it back circuit by circuit, piece by piece, and that's how we're going to tie it all together. But I got a lot more coming up, guys. I want to show you a lot more details once we start tying these couple systems together, and I'll show you some tips and tricks that will help you out with your install as well. Stay tuned, guys. We got a lot more coming up. Don't forget to like this video. Click like, throw me a comment, let me know what you think. Ring the bell for those notifications when we get a new video. We got lots more coming up, guys. A lot of cool stuff coming up. I hope you guys are enjoying the ride.